Monday in the RPS streets. What's going on, everybody? It's JT. I'm joined by DC, and the Great Banana is back. Big T celebrating his Denver Nuggets victory. Probably still celebrating his victory over JT, but no mask here for me. Uncle T is in the house. Mama Rocks is in the house. Lion Cubs is in the house. Brittany. What's going on, Brittany? Another nice takedown in the mini-max yesterday. And we've got an 8-game slate. Weather we don't think is going to be an issue. We're going to talk about all that. We'll talk about the pitchers, the stacks. Playbook's almost done. I just got to put the team stacks in there and some value plays. Big T. But how was your week? I mean, it seemed like you were pretty happy with the outcome of the Nuggets. And then the Clippers. Look, I mean, it's almost like not a victory. If you're playing a Ty Lue coach team, they're going to fold. They're going to fail. They're going to choke at the worst time of the year. So now you actually have to play real basketball. How do you feel about round two?
That's the story of the Nuggets, too. Like, you just did everything to downgrade my team, gave them no credit. Everyone picked – this is what happens to the Nuggets.
The Clippers
Everyone picks the Clippers.
Sorry.
When they won the title, everyone picked Phoenix. Everyone picked the Lakers. Everyone picked every other team they played. Everyone picked the Clippers, and now, it's just Ty Lue choked. No, they got owned. They got freaking owned, just like you did 2 weeks ago when you said the Giants over Detroit. It wasn't close.
I think it was a little closer. Our competition was a little closer.
6-2?
6-2, yeah.
It was still close?
Yes.
Go over this again.
Oh, DC, should the Brewers not have destroyed the Tigers that day?
If the result is what it is, JT, you lost 6-2. It's not close. I got
it. Who had more base runners?
It was. I think that was closer than the final on the run.
Better pull the number up, then. Pull it up.
Keep going. Keep talking about the Nuggets.
What? Yeah, we do play a real team now. But the nice part is when you play a real team, you get plus 500, and you get you can play the underdog role. It's fun to play the underdog role where everyone likes, okay, we'll beat them though, and then it'll be they're young and they're not experienced and they choked and this and that. SGA, he rolled an ankle because he flopped all over the ground. I mean, let's go. Let's line it up tonight. Who you got, JT?
Listen, I'm not prepared to talk NBA. Hey, DC, do you think it's going to be
give me a winner? You get on OKC. I want you in there.
All right, I'll take OKC. Fuck it. I hope the Thunder roll the Nuggets. I hope that we get a Mike Malone tweet at the end of the series, something like a house burning, told you so, you guys suck, whatever. DC. Probably not. DC, what do you think about the Nuggets? You think they should be celebrating as hard as they are over beating the hideous Clippers? And what are your thoughts about their shot against OKC?
You're on an island here, JT, on the Nuggets hate. I can't get on board with it. And what are you talking about? This giant celebration? I didn't see a giant celebration for the Nuggets. Nikola Jokic celebrates. I don't think he even celebrated when he won an NBA title. He just went back home and rode some horses. So I can't get behind that. But I will say I was a little disoriented to see longtime Timberwolves hater Big T picking them in this series over the Warriors. You had a good first round, 6-2. I'll give you that. But one of your misses was, of course, picking the old dusty ass Lakers against the Wolves. And now, listen, they dismantled the Lakers. They're going to do the same thing to the Warriors. That's the biggest misprice in the second round. The Wolves should be minus 500 with the other teams, right? Against the freaking Warriors, who are going to be no legs. They're all injured. Curry, Butler, all these guys are injured. They're going to get destroyed by the Wolves, who are deep, rested. So I'm with you, Big T, though, on the other series. Way too wide of lines, right? Nuggets plus 500, a champion who's got the same roster over an unproven OKC team. Give me the dogs in most of the other series.
And they'll probably, they might all lose, but those prices are insane. Indiana already won. Indiana already still won.
Lose.
Minus 700 is crazy, though.
It's bad. DC on the Wolves in May. I am shocked. I am surprised that
JT,
you are.
in all seriousness, Talk to Winnie behind you. It's the lock of the playoffs, Minnesota. Get in there with us. We need to make it a Monday.
I'm just saying. Listen, this is DC's Christmas week. The Wolves are in the playoffs. We're about to get International Royce Lewis week. You're going to be able to play Royce Lewis.
Is he going to make it the whole week before he's injured again?
3 or 4 slates. We'll see what happens, Big T. 3 or 4 slates. He's going to get hurt in the 3rd or 4th game, but it's not going to be thought to be serious. He'll start the 5th game, and then it'll be curtains for the end of the year. So we'll see him again in 2026.
Royce Lewis is so injury prone that I don't even know if you want to like play him in DFS for the whole first game. Just the very, very first at bat, bet a home run. The first one plate appearance outcome. That way you're safe with Royce.
He's definitely going to have one huge game before he gets hurt, just to get everyone's hopes up.
Oh, he's easily going to have a 40-point fantasy game in those first 2-3 games. And Jerker will be stroking it in chat. He's going to have all the Royce Lewis gifs. And even Bobby will be half naked in there. And then, he'll stub his toe, break, and, slip and fall and break a couple of bones, small bones in the body that take a long time to heal. That's usually the way it goes. Serious note, before we get into the games, we're going to get into the 8 games. Cores will be up. Like I said, the playbook's almost done. Not to be selfish. This is Lion Cubs, by the way. Lion Cubs, not to be selfish, but I got a ticket to the Q tonight. There's a lot of Qs. I'm assuming he's got one of the high dollar tickets to the live final. And I think he's saying, because he's using a lot of slang here, I think he's saying any advice on changing play style, it is only 67 people. And what I would say is, well, we're going to talk through the games here. There's obviously one very highly owned pitcher that I think has some question marks. But I would say you don't need to do a 5-2, 5-3 as you may do in every other contest. You could do a 4-2-2, something like that, a 4-3. You can even go wild and do a 3-3-2 on the 3 teams that you think are going to score the most runs. So you don't need to be all that conventional. And I would on this slate consider fading that highest owned pitcher. We'll talk through why, though. Big T, obviously you've won a bunch of these for opportunities to get to the live final. What do you think if you're playing in that 920 or 1220 to get there? Any thoughts on changing the way you play? Your strategy changes based on the contest. What are your thoughts for our friend Lion Cubs?
Yeah, honestly, baseball's been the one I've done the best at as far as just the finals and qualifiers and winning the other site won the 1 year. But I like it because in baseball, you don't have to like full 5-3. Like if you're in the 18 or whatever, another $5 tonight on Mondays, the big one. Like you got to get a little crazy to win that thing. I mean, you have to have the stone cold nuts. 67 people in it or whatever you said tonight, 69, 67 people. You don't. Like you could literally win it tonight with one guy hitting 3 bombs or something. So I've always had good success with like, again, we're going to go through the slate, but say you love one stack, you stack it 4 or 5, probably 5 for me still, but you could do 4 on a shorter thing. Get your favorite 2 pitchers and then find a few one-offs that really can get you different in there, or your favorite couple plays. Say like your favorite 2 plays tonight, no matter what team they're on, you play them, put 2 pitchers in, and then see what stack fits and line it up like that. Because the good part about baseball, as opposed to like basketball and other sports, if you're stack, if you just hit on it, you're always going to get to the top, which is easier said than done. Again, I'm not saying if we knew the stack that was going to go off every night, we would win every night, which doesn't happen in baseball. It's tougher. But you do have that opportunity. And the nice part, too, like we've said every week on this show, it could be any team, too, in baseball because they all have their advantages. Obviously, the good stacks are higher owned, but you get a little 1 or 2% stack in a 67-man field, and then all of a sudden, just say, for example, like some of these guys will like stack the White Sox tonight against the chalk picture Ragians. And will you probably lose most of the time? Yeah, you probably will. But that one time when your hitters go off, you knock out the chalk pitcher and you win the seat. And I always use Squid as the example, the SaberSim guy, but it's because he's literally the best. Like the dude stacks some of the worst stacks I've ever seen in my life, but they're 1% owned. And it like tonight, it's a 7 or 8 game slate. chances are a lot of these slates, even when it looks like offense, sometimes they get lower owned and stuff, lower scoring. I mean, not owned, lower scoring. And that one stack could just win the whole damn slate and get you all the way to the top. So that's what I love about baseball. Basketball, you can't get that creative. I mean, what are you going to do in basketball? You play a low-owned guy, most of the time it's not going to work out. So baseball, literally any guy on this slate could be in the winner. That's just not the case with other sports.
DC, just to interrupt Uncle T, tooting his own horn here, won another bunch of money on Saturday. Congrats, by the way, Uncle T. DC, any thoughts for our friend Lion Cubs?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Big T said. Also, just in those higher dollar single entry type contests, especially the chalk pitchers, right? If you look up like what their ownership's projected to be in the flagship, almost always that's a significantly higher number when you get into the higher dollar stuff. So you got to, decide if you're comfortable with that fade or not. But if you are, and the chalk doesn't work out, you're in an even better spot than you would be in some lower dollar contests. He said he qualified for it, I think, so probably won his way in there. And yeah, I do think, as long as you're comfortable with it and have viable alternatives, I do think you want to, if you can, get away from the chalk even more in the higher dollar stuff. So that'd be just the only thing I would add to what Big T said.
One thing I always do different than that, though, is like I'll always play the chalk pitcher, like the high one, but I'll almost always get off you do it the opposite, which I think you can do it either way. Mm-hmm. Like stay on the chalk hitting that looks awesome, the high price bats, and get off the pitching, which you like to do, or jam the pitchers and maybe play a few shittier bats, which is what I like to do. I honestly think both ways are fine, though. You don't want to go in and play the chalk pitcher and the chalk stack. It just makes it tough to get all the way to the top doing that.
Yeah, and all that said, I mean, don't change it too much, right? Don't completely just flush your process down the toilet and start anew. Like,
correct. Number one, more than anything, we've all learned this. Like, especially if it's a bigger entry that gets your blood pumping a little bit, the last thing you want to do at the end of the night is regret like playing someone you didn't want to play. Go down with your own fighters, right? Like, go down with the guys. We've all learned this lesson so many times. When you switch off the guy you like for some like other chalk or whatever, and it doesn't hit, and your guy you liked hits 2 bombs, like it's the worst feeling you can ever have in fantasy.
All right, good advice for Lion Cubs. Of course, cores will be up, playbook will be complete here shortly with some values and some stacks. And go ahead, ask any questions. Anyone in the chat, go ahead. Questions, we'll be happy to answer those as we get through this slate. All right, let's get started in the Bronx, Big T. I've been watching this game closely because I was doing the playbook today, and it is the only game with weather on this slate, and it looked kind of dicey all the way up until about an hour and a half ago, and then now weather experts say that it looks like rain is going to clear the Bronx around 7. They're going to have a window until 10 o'clock or maybe a little later to get this game in. It's the Padres at the Yankees. Nick Pivetta, 10K Nick Pivetta against the Yankees. Carlos Rodon, 9,500 for the Yanks. Big T, first game on the slate. What are your thoughts here?
It's an interesting spot because you have a pretty low total. I mean, look at Sabres numbers for this game. You got 4.3 for the Yanks, 3.9 for the Padres. You got 2 pretty good pitchers, but like you said, I mean, Pivetta 10K against the Yankees is quite the price, honestly, but he's good enough to hold them down. And then Rodon is never a guy that I really like to go crazy against, but San Diego doesn't strike out at a high clip. I don't know. With the weather, I mean, this game is almost like a game I just want to ignore. I like other spots more. The pitching's good enough to hold it down. The hitting's good enough to beat the pitching. I could make a case for a lot of sides of this game, and honestly, it would be the Yankees side just because the Yankees can always string it together and have a big outing, but you start to lose bats like Jazz. I mean, Jazz, I know I saw you guys in the chat talking about it. I was hurt, and they kind of put him back out there, and now he's out 2 months. I mean, you start losing one bat, and it adds up. All of a sudden, now you got whoever. I actually love that young guy, though. I watched him the one night, Vivas or however you pronounce his name.
Of course you love him.
Yeah, he was like staring the pitcher down, and like I think he even struck out or something. But like he was, did you see what I'm talking about? Where he was like eyeballing the pitcher. He was almost like Juan Soto, where he was grabbing his nuts and just looking at the pitcher. I respected it. He was going after it, but I don't know if it was anything in this game, especially like the lefties for the Yankees at the top. But all of a sudden, like my boy Grisham's 4K, you're not really getting a price break for these guys, in my opinion. So, and also like we should talk about that DraftKings promotion too, where we pick 5. At least I think you should pick 5 different home runs for the night to be involved in this million. So, the way I think you should do it is pick 5 different teams and whoever your favorite guy is in there and do it, and then parlay them together. You get a nice huge payout because there's no minimum bet. You can bet $1 on it if you want, but it's just a cool promotion, I think.
My parlay ended up being like $5 to win like $234,000.
That's what I mean. That's amazing.
That's what you want. That's what you want.
Correct.
All right, DC. So I did the playbook, looked into both these pitchers. Very high strikeout rates. On Rodon's side, a very high walk rate. Both these pitchers getting fairly well lucky with batted balls in play, runners left on base. I think one of these teams is going to score a bunch of runs. We've got pitchers that are approaching what I like to call bust prices. I can't play Pivetta at 10K, although if I'm looking at this and I'm thinking of it as leverage on this slate, I'm interested in the Padres. The Rays did some work on the Yanks bullpen yesterday. They're going to get this game in, DC. What are your thoughts here on the Yanks and the Padres?
Yeah, I do agree with you on the weather. It does look like this game should end up playing just fine. It's still worth keeping an eye on, an hour and a half before lock. But right now I'm proceeding as if this game will play, honestly, probably without issue. I don't think they're even going to have a delay in this game. But obviously if they do, they could finish it afterward. Would affect, potentially both pitchers. So I'm kind of off these pitchers, but I honestly don't play Rodon very often. It's probably, frankly, a leak of mine. I just kind of think he's overrated. And, I mean, this is as high a price tag as you're going to get on Rodon, right? I mean, he's been in, like, the low 8Ks all season. Now he gets a jump to 9,500. It's a fine matchup against the Padres, but, like, not a super high strikeout matchup or anything like that. You throw in some weather risk. It's still a pretty tough place to pitch in general in Yankee Stadium, even in pretty good pitching conditions tonight, honestly. So I didn't end up getting to Rodon. And, I mean, Pivetta, kind of the same thing. He has, without question, earned the 10K price tag for his performance this season. It's been, pretty much can't miss so far. But I don't think he's, like, that different of a pitcher than we've seen over the last two or three seasons. And he is nowhere close to a 10K pitcher for the vast majority of that time. So I'm just not buying into Pivetta being some, completely changed man who's a 10K plus pitcher. I just don't see it. With Pivetta, you throw in the tough matchup, against the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. And I can't get to Pivetta at 10K. So I'm not playing these pitchers. I'm with you, JT. I think the more interesting side is the bats. I don't know if you need to go crazy with the full stack here, but I do think there are some pretty good individual plays on each side. I think they're kind of obvious. It's Tatis and Machado against the lefty Rodon swinging for the Padres. And then on the Yankees, I mean, I'm going to squeeze in as much Aaron Judge as I can. This dude is he's just on another level right now. Obviously, everybody knows about the power hitting. He's hitting .423 on the year. Just ridiculous what Judge is doing on a nightly basis. Every time you watch Judge come to the plate, it seems like he's going yard. Doesn't matter who he's facing. He's just, spitting on the breaking balls, waiting for a fastball, and usually tattooing it. So I want Judge. I do like Grisham and Rice near the top of the lineup there as well if you want to get a little contrarian against Pivetta. But ultimately, if you're worried about the weather or whatever, I don't think you have to play this game. I don't think there's any, must-play spots hitting or pitching-wise in this one.
Fair enough. We'll move on to the next game, and it's right here in Atlanta. And I was tempted, man. I was tempted to go down to the yard tonight. $44 for tickets in the club. but I think I'm going to wait and see if Sale is pitching tomorrow. So I'm not going to be at this one. It is the Reds coming in to face the Atlanta Braves. Brady Singer, 8,800. AJ Smith-Shawver, 7,500 DC. Couple of things here. One, Reds' first game out of Great American Ballpark, usually a good opportunity to use the opposing pitcher. And then Brady Singer at 8,800, man. I'm obviously attuned to what this Braves team is doing. They're striking out a lot. Striking out on sliders. And I think Brady Singer is one of the more interesting. As Big T says, sure, he could get blown up. I think he's one of the more interesting plays on the slate here. Smith-Shawver as well at 7,500. Not really on these offenses myself, except some sprinkles in multi-entry. What about you?
Yeah, so I'm not on Singer. So if either you two want to make the case for him, I'll leave that to you. I do like the Braves lefties who, I mean, Singer's been smashed by lefties over the last couple seasons. A lot of power given up. Really, really effective against right-handed bats, but not so much against lefties. So that would be Verdugo, Matt Olson, who's he's in my 5 home run parlay with the Braves here, and then Michael Harris would be the 3 guys that I'd look at most closely with the Braves. Not going with the full stack here, but I do like those guys, specifically Olson, to hit for power. And then one of my favorite pitchers on the slate is AJ Smith-Shawver, going for the Braves here, 7,500 on DraftKings. I don't think he's like a complete product yet. He's 22 years old, got some experience last year. I do think there's more development to come for him. So I don't think he is, a world beater, as they say, at the moment. But if you look at the Reds have done, like, yes, a lot of big games, which I think kind of skews their stats better than they actually are in the majority of games, right? The majority of their damage has come in good weather conditions in Great American against bad pitching, or in Coors Field, right, where they put up, I don't know how many runs, 40 runs in 3 games, something like that. Outside of that, they've been shut out more than any other team in baseball, and a lot of just really bad performances. And honestly, anytime you get them in a neutral or, bad situation against a tough pitcher, they usually fall flat on their face and get some strikeouts. So I like Smith-Shawver here quite a bit at that $7,500 price tag. And I think he's a very strong play on a night where the stacks that I want are pretty expensive. We'll get to those later in the night, but I kind of need the savings. And Smith-Shawver, I think, one of the better ways to get it. So in on AJ Smith-Shawver. I'm not playing Singer, and I'll mix in some Braves lefty bats and maybe a little Ellie De La Cruz as well. But Smith-Shawver, my favorite play in this game.
Big T, your Reds, first game on the road. Thoughts on this game here in Atlanta, and any thoughts you have on Brady Singer?
Yeah, I definitely feel differently than DC. I think this Smith-Shawver is going to get blown up here. And like this game's got a whole run higher than the Yankees game. 8.5 total, juice to the over. Yankees 7.5, a full run lower than this game. And I think the Reds have just been good on offense. They have played weak competition. I'll concede that too. They've played a lot of bad teams, the Rockies, and I'd have to go through their list, but I know they played a lot of bad teams. So their numbers are definitely inflated a little bit by who they played. But I just think the Braves kind of stink. I say it every time, but I look at their roster, which makes me like Brady Singer too, because, I mean, the only guy I'm worried about is Olson. Albies has been bad. Verdugo, I'm never worried about. So I like the red side in this game, and I like Singer a decent amount. On this slate where there's not ceilings for the pitchers, I like the floor of Singer in this game. I think he strikes out enough guys, gets through enough of this lineup to where I'm definitely on the Singer side. And then guys like Tyler Stevenson, 4,500. I mean, no one's going to play this guy at all. He's only played like 3 games since he's been back, but had 2 monster games in there, so he's clearly seeing the ball well. Let me pull him up real quick. He has only played 3 games, right? Yeah, 3 games. He's got a home run, a 16 and a 20-point game in 2 of the 3 games. They're going to blow this dude up. This Smith-Shawver dude, he got so freaking – JT was talking about San Francisco, that game getting unlucky. Like this game I watched, he got so lucky against, who was it, Colorado or somebody. My God, he got lucky. But I think this dude sucks. Give me the Reds and Singer.
Okay. Reds for Big T.
Oh, I'm not pissed, Uncle T. Happy to be on Smith-Shaver Island. I'll take them all to myself.
I said it at the beginning. I actually like both pitchers here. The bat for the Braves that concerns me in this matchup is Ozzie Albies because he's actually been hitting the ball hard. Olsen has been doing nothing. Nobody else in this lineup is doing anything. They strike out a ton. So I like the pitchers here. Definitely not as much on these offenses. And so we differ here, all three of us. It's beautiful. We will move on and see if we're going to get in sync on this one. I don't know if we will. It's the White Sox heading into Kansas City. Shane Smith at 7K, promising young starter. Sox have at least done that, developed some pitching talent that they pretty much trade away immediately. And then Cole Ragans at 10-3. Ragans, Big T, the highest owned pitcher on the slate. Projection pretty much clear of everybody. But coming off of 2 down, disappointing starts against the Tigers on the road and then against the Rockies at home. Lasted just 3 innings against the Rockies at home. They skipped his start, said he was dealing with a sore groin. And now against the White Sox, who haven't been good, but also haven't been Rockies or Angels level bad. Just honestly a below league average strikeout rate at 22% against left-handed pitching. I'm not sold on this 60% ownership here. If I want to buy into that completely for Cole Ragans coming off of a groin injury, what about you?
It makes it interesting for sure. And you look at the 2 games, I mean, he got beat up by the Rockies and then beat up by Detroit. 9 runs, 3 bombs in 2 games. He was awesome before that, but there has to be some concerns. And when was the last start was on the 24th? So he missed 1 start, you said. All concerning, all definitely concerning. And those are reasons that you can pivot off of some chalk for sure. The way the slate is set up, though, with pitching, man, I'm going to have a hard time. Again, like I said in the first part, DC is always going to be more fade these spots. I'm always going to be more play these spots. But I'm a little concerned myself. The bigger issue for me is I just don't love pitching on this slate, which, again, you say that's everyone. Everyone's going to be a little concerned, and that's why he's going to be so chalky, so it works both directions when you start talking all the game theory angles and stuff. But I don't know. Against the White Sox, I look at this lineup. They do have some gritty guys that I've liked. I've liked how the White Sox have looked according to their expectations. Like DC said, everyone thought, like JT said, that they're not as bad as the Rockies. The Angels have been bad. Some of the other teams that just stink. I at least feel like the White Sox have a little fight in them where they could blow up some chalk, especially in that $5. I'm definitely going to have some White Sox stacks against this chalk Royals team. 100% I am. But my main team, I'm still going to have trouble not playing Ragans. And honestly, Shane Smith, I think, is in play because of how little I respect the Royals. I just can't get on board with – can I play Bobby Witt? Absolutely, I can play Bobby Witt. Pasquantino, Sal Perez, a few of these guys. Miguel Garcia has been decent. But you start getting to the bottom, the Waters, Furman, Isbell. I mean, these guys, and they don't have bombs, and this park stinks. So I like the White Sox a decent amount in this game, and I think Shane Smith's good enough at 7K to be decent enough on this slate. So I'm kind of on the White Sox side of things here a little bit.
DC, thoughts on the Royals and the White Sox?
Yeah, kind of mostly the same for me. I do think Smith, if you want to get really contrarian, I think he's going to be like 1% to 2% owned. Like you said, he's a decent looking arm, has pitched pretty well. Good results so far, doesn't allow a lot of power. And I'm just not scared of this Royals team. I don't think Shane Smith's going to put up 30 or anything, but I think he's got a shot at 15 to 20 here at no ownership. You'd probably need some chalkier pitchers to bust for Shane Smith to really kind of pop out at the end of the night, but it's certainly possible. And yeah, I think at his ownership, at least, he's a pretty good play. I wouldn't go crazy with it, but yeah, if you're playing multiple lineups, maybe get a share or two of Shane Smith. I know I will in my 20 lineups tonight. So I think he's a fine play. Ragans, I did include him in my write-up, but it's just, these are the spots where they make me nervous, right? So he's the most expensive pitcher on the board at 10-3. He's also the most popular pitcher, we think, on the board. So he's chalky, he's expensive. So even if he puts up, let's say he puts up 50 fantasy points, it throws a perfect game or whatever, you're still competing with 40 to 50% of the field. You still got to beat 20,000 other lineups in the Cinco de Mayo. So it doesn't even help you that much if you have Reagans and he goes off. But if you play him and he doesn't, you can't win, right? Because you just paid up for the most expensive pitcher on the slate and he didn't perform. So I'm kind of leaning toward the fade. I'll definitely be under the field on Reagans. Haven't decided if I'm going to play him or how far under I'll be, but it will certainly be significantly under the field. And if you're not playing Reagans, I do think it's smart to throw in a White Sox player or two. You don't have to go crazy with it, but these guys are all cheap. And like you mentioned, JT, the White Sox, they've got some guys now in their lineup who aren't the best hitters, but what they have done is reduce the strikeout rates of the White Sox lineup overall. Guys like Edgar Cuero's a low strikeout rate guy, Chase Meadroth leading off, low strikeout rate guy, Miguel Vargas, low strikeout rate guy. So all these dudes put the ball in play against lefties, which, not saying they're going to do a ton of damage, but when you're paying 10-3 for a pitcher, you need the strikeouts to get there. And I'm just not sure. And then I didn't even mention the two recent starts, right? Both of which were not good. The second of which, they removed him early with a groin strain from that game. He misses a start. I mean, you take him out early and he misses a start, he's probably not 100% yet. The duration could be lower than it typically is. So enough question marks to go along with the price, the ownership, where I think, maybe wise to try to find somewhere else. The problem is, Big T mentioned it, there's not that many great options at pitching. So if Reagans does shove, he will probably clear the field by a decent margin.
Luis Robert likely auditioning for a new home the second half of the season as well. So he showed up. He's healthy now. In a few weeks, he'll join Jazz and Chase and Tyler Stevenson, Royce, all on the golf course again. But once they get injured. But for the time being, he's been playing well. And just to be clear about this, the two bad games wouldn't concern me ordinarily if he shows up here at, say, 9,400 without the injury. It's all of those things together, plus the highest ownership, because people don't love the pitching on this slate, that I think makes it smart to, for me, playing that, whether it's the Cinco de Mayo or the 111 especially, getting under the field on him. And maybe, like Big T said, definitely including some minis, maybe a couple full stacks of the White Sox after a really good day for the Royals offense yesterday against some really bad pitching. So we'll move on and go over to the next game. This game, Houston Astros against the Milwaukee Brewers. This game in Milwaukee, Ronel Blanco, 7,300 DC against Tobias Myers, 5,700. And his K prop went up to 4.5 today. And I'm looking and I'm digging around. He pitched 5 days ago, 2 innings. He pitched an inning on Friday. Like, this is a 2-inning guy. And I'm like, why are his prop, like, there has to be if I was in a state where I could bet, which I'm not, I'm sitting in Atlanta, I think one of the best unders on the board here is Tobias Myers under 4.5 strikeouts, because this is just what they're doing with him. A guy on 2 days rest isn't going to go very long. What are your thoughts here? Which means it's going to be a full bullpen game, by the way, for the Brewers, which makes me a lot less interested in the now Yordan Alvarez less Astros. What are your thoughts here, though, on the Astros and the Brewers?
So Myers, like you mentioned, JT, really interesting spot for him. You mentioned the Astros lost Yordan Alvarez, who was their only left-handed bat on the whole roster. So they finally achieved their dream here and get to go with the full 9 right-handed bat against Myers, who, we don't have a huge sample on him in the big leagues, but the sample we do have dating back to last year, he's been really, really good against right-handed bats, not so much against lefties. Now he gets 9 right-handers in the lineup. So I do think it's like a good spot for Myers on a, per batter basis, but I have no idea how long he's going to pitch in this game. Like you mentioned, was that on Friday he threw, I think? Friday
he threw an inning against the Cubs. 2 days before that, he threw 2 innings. So he's thrown 3 innings in the last 4 days.
And then his debut in 2025 was an 82 pitch 4-inning outing against the Giants back on the 24th. So the prop market seems to think that he's like a full starter here, right? I mean, that's kind of what that's. But I mean, this isn't like a bull. I've looked at the Brewers bullpen; they're not like super gassed out. They have guys that they can go to, and I'm with you. I think like any trouble at all, and Myers could easily be out of there after 2 innings, 3 innings. I do think if he's pitching well, that maybe they let him go 4 or 5, but I don't think longer than that. I would be surprised to see even more than 80 pitches. That said, good matchup. He's 5,700, so I do have a little bit of interest in Myers here. Not going crazy with it due to the question marks around how long he'll go, but I do like the matchup and I do like the price on a tough slate for pitching. So I do have some exposure to Myers. I didn't end up on Blanco.
This is my favorite part of the show ever. JT says it's a bullpen game and you're playing the dude?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, look at
that's
the prop.
My favorite argument ever on the show.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going
crazy. Listen, if people want to play, and I got sports better in here saying 11 pitches. If you think he only threw 11 pitches on the day Friday, just tell me you've never played the game of baseball in fewer words. It's no problem. If you want to play a guy who's thrown 3 innings over the last 5 days and expect that he's going to go 80 pitches, then if you win, congratulations to you. That is not the way they play this kid. That is normally.
I look forward to your congratulatory text tonight.
There you go.
Honestly, right. So my mind is one of the people that I don't know baseball, but I was listening to both of you just because I like to listen to the info. Just in my head, though, looking at the box scores, why did he get yanked in the first game? Was it weather or something? And then they brought him back the middle.
They used this guy in a very. I remember playing him on a slate last year. He was pretty cheap. He had a really good prop. And he got pulled to like 60 pitches after 3 2/3 innings. What they're doing with him, there's got to be a reason for it, right? It's almost like DC, where what we saw with the Red Sox, the way they used Nick Pivetta last season a little bit, where they're like they have a number of pitches in their mind or something. And, this year, obviously, it's totally different. I don't know why they do this with Myers, but they do it. And you could tell me all you want that it doesn't matter that he pitched in it, or it doesn't matter. He only pitched an inning. Doesn't matter. This is what they're doing with him. And I guarantee you look at the schedule. If the Brewers organization has a schedule of this week, maybe the next 2 weeks, and they've got dates where he's going to pitch 1 or 2 innings, that's what's going to happen.
No weather or anything in that game on the 30th, though. He literally just got pulled in 2 innings.
I'll take another look to see if there's a reason, but he only pitched an inning in relief against the Cubs on Friday. So,
the weirdest part too is that was a 10-0 game on Friday. The whole thing's just weird. That's why the dynamic of you guys arguing about it was perfect, because I was somewhere in the middle. Like I've seen in the playoffs and stuff.
Well, who swayed you, Big T? Which side are you joining?
I'm still somewhere in the middle, honestly. I think he's and then I was pulling the prop market up like at our partner DraftKings. I love the bet under 3.5 strikeouts at plus 145, though, the juice. So, because I always like getting the plus juice in these things. So, honestly, I'd rather the 3.5 with good juice rather than 4.5 with juice, like one less. I'll just take the plus 145. So, honestly, I'm on JT's side with that. But I might be more on DC's side with the play, though, just because he's 5,700 against a team with no lefty power or anything. And the slate sucks for pitching. I think he could get closer in pitches. Just looking at last year, I got all his game logs from last year. He had plenty where he went 100, 90, 80, 90. He did have some towards the end where he was cut short. But, I mean, why is he pitching in a 10-0 game anyways on Friday? It's just weird.
You had to get some work in to get ready for 90.
I do think that's what it is. That's where I was more on I think I'm more on DC's side looking at it, just because.
Are you fucking high? So no, it's not to get worried. He pitched 2 innings on Wednesday, then he pitched an inning on Friday. Now there's been another 2 days, and you guys think he's full
Don't you throw bullpen work in between though? Like I'm legit asking. Don't you get bullpen work in between starts?
Not after 1 day of rest, Big T.
Well, seriously though, what's the normal procedure for a pitch? I'm not trolling. I'm asking. So they throw a start. He throws on Wednesday. What's the next couple of days look like?
Yeah,
So
you get
it's
a complete day off, and then the third or fourth day you throw a bullpen. So I don't think it's that unusual.
You don't do anything the first couple days.
No, I would say the bullpen usually comes on either day 2 or day 3. So today is Monday, you pitch. Tuesday is a maintenance cardio day. Let's say the next day would be your bullpen day, or the following day. Then you get a day of rest.
You could throw an inning theoretically in the middle, right?
Yeah, okay, but I'm just not. Whatever.
I love it. That was my favorite of this show in a while, though.
I'm over here upping my Myers exposure as we speak.
There we go.
JT, I think this is about as tilted as I've ever seen JT.
Because it just. All right, go ahead.
This is great. There's nothing better than when all three of us get tilted at some point. That's what we need.
Corey Brewer, we're not eye testing him. I'm looking at data. I'm looking at fucking data on how major league pitchers usually use their pitchers, and given what we've seen from this guy in the last 2 weeks. So look,
when's your bullpen day, JT? You're dominating the upper minors and the
upper minors.
He's coming after you now. He's trying to poke you more, JT. He's trying to get you going. It's me like, Big T, what's your men's league looking like?
I'll tell you what I did. You cunts. I threw about 75 pitches on Saturday, and then today I'll tell you. Today I did 300 push-ups. I ran stairs.
I did 300 push-ups.
I did.
I believe you. That's why it's so funny.
We start talking about push-ups. I'm going to be the tilted one over here. We got to change.
We got to get through this slate. We got lineups today.
You did them this morning.
All right, Big T, what are your thoughts on this game? Obviously,
I haven't even talked about this game yet. I was so enthralled with the conversation that it didn't even get to me. But I did like Myers before the whole conversation. I don't know what I think about him. I honestly didn't look, though, that he threw twice since then, so I'm glad you guys brought it up anyways, because I liked him. And his projection kind of sucks. I mean, his projection isn't amazing or anything, but he's cheap on a slate where there's no pitching, so that part interests me. As far as the lineups, though, man, like, I don't know how I could play Houston against this team. How's Milwaukee's bullpen this year? Is it decent? Well, once they pull him in an inning and a half, who's coming in behind him?
Yeah, it's okay. It's nothing great though.
I mean, I just don't like Houston. Even with Jordan, I don't like Houston. I look at this lineup, like you guys said, it's all righties. I mean, do you like anyone? I know Uncle T likes the Myers or whatever the scrub's name is that went off, but I don't like Houston, and honestly, I don't like Milwaukee. So this is a weird game because Blanco, we all agree that Blanco, I mean, he's not great either, but he's 7,300. I don't know. I'm more on pitching in this game than hitting. I can't play these lineups, though.
Uncle T. Myers is definitely going in DC scores now. I know it.
He wasn't
probably going in there.
He wasn't 10 minutes ago, but he is now.
He was probably going in there before. I personally like Ronel Blanco in this game as well. So, all right.
I do all these shows with freaking JSU and DC, and the more you make fun of them, the more they just jam these bad plays.
You do the same thing. You do the same thing, Big T. Don't try to pretend like you don't.
Not as much as you guys. You guys like get motivated to like you get very enthused. Like you were sparking wood when JT was making his counterpoints.
I don't know about that because he didn't agree. But
no, yeah, that's what he did. If he would have agreed,
he does get off on that. He does get off on that. Yeah, he's sick. All right. San Francisco and Chicago, Big T, Landon Roop, 7,700. We haven't played pitchers a lot against the Cubs. Of course, Freddy Peralta burned us yesterday with a very, very good performance, but now they're back home. Matthew Boyd, 8,300 against this Giants team. Matthew Boyd, Big T, is going to be about 30% on tonight. This to me, it's just hard for me to see Matthew Boyd at 8,300 in that ownership and not get excited a little bit about playing some of these Giants right-handed bats. Of course, the Cubs, you should play some on every slate. What are your thoughts here on the Giants and the Cubs?
Yeah, you got my boy Wilmer in the middle, the big platoon, who's been actually crushing this year. He's actually been a pretty good a pretty good hitter, even against righties a little bit so far this year. So I don't know. More than anything, with the wind blowing in at Wrigley and somewhat cold weather, I don't love the park. I think the pitchers are good. Like Boyd's like the ultimate like condom pitcher play, where I think he gets 15 tonight. I don't think he gets 25. I don't think he gets 7. I think he gets 15. Like right there at 8,300, that's tough. It's tough to know that your guy doesn't have a ton of upside. And I've liked San Francisco all year. I just like this lineup, especially against a lefty. All these righties, I don't know who in the world the dude is in the 9-hole. Christian Koss, I don't know who that is, but all these other righties. I like the middle of their lineup a ton. Willie Adames is a beast. Their prices are pretty good. Ramos up top too. I like San Francisco, so I could be talked into them. I just hate Wrigley when you got what's the actual total in this game?
Like
7. I mean, it's a 7 total. I just struggle with that. I wish I liked it. I really do wish I liked it because I like this lineup against a lefty. I just don't see it. In the Cubs, I struggle with that too because the Cubs have had games in tough spots where they just score a ton. Like that one freezing cold game, I remember they scored like 12 runs or something stupid that day. And I don't know, though. I'm definitely not excited about this game. More pitchers for me than anything in this game. And it's not because of the upside either. I just think both of these pitchers are pretty safe to get you a solid enough number on this slate.
DC, thoughts on the Giants and the Cubs?
So I'm off of both sides of the Roop versus the Cubs matchup. I mean, Ballpark Pal's got this game as minus 40% on the home runs. Like you look at the temperature and you're like, oh, the winds aren't that strong, but in Wrigley it just matters so much the wind direction. What
was Ballpark Pal the day they hit like 12 home runs in 30-degree weather though? I mean, this is a team where it doesn't matter as much if they hit the ball the way they're capable of. I just throw that out there.
Let's get another argument going here. I like this show.
I don't feel as strongly as I do about Myers.
I don't really play any pitchers against the Cubs if they've got their normal lineup out there. I don't care about I do care about the weather to the point that I'm not playing the Cubs, but no interest in Landon Roop. I do really like Matthew Boyd here, though, whose biggest problem is giving up power to right-handed bats. But, I mean, it's just going to be tough to hit home runs here. Obviously, anything can happen. It's baseball, but I do trust the numbers. I trust the total in this game. And I think Boyd should be able to attack the strike zone here. And if he gives up some fly balls, they're frankly probably going to turn into outs. So Boyd is my favorite point per dollar pitcher on the slate. Looks like he'll be owned. Actually, Saber has him recently flipping the ownership on Reagan. So that's a little concerning for Boyd if he's really going to be the highest owned pitcher on the slate. But I do really like Matthew Boyd here. Coming into the show, at least, he was my preferred pitcher. And yeah, I'm not playing any Giants. Not really playing any bats in this game. Even the Cubs guys, they're just so expensive to play him in the hardest, by far, the most difficult hitting park of the evening. So pretty much just Boyd here for me.
All right. We'll move on. DC, next game, Pittsburgh at St. Louis. Carmen Mlodzinski, a 5K flat. At least this is a guy who's going to pitch 5 innings if he does okay against Miles Mikolas. 6,200 for Miles. This is not a park that we love. Of course, the Cardinals have actually been hitting the ball well and took a doubleheader from the Mets yesterday. DC, just in case anyone was watching, the Mets dropped a doubleheader yesterday to the Cardinals. But what are your thoughts here on the Pirates and the Cards?
I can't play Michaelis. I just never play him. 6,200. He's just the lowest upside guy out there. So he's never for me. Obviously a good matchup against Pittsburgh. I don't think I'm going to too much Pittsburgh outside of O'Neal Cruz. It's just the same story every day with the Pirates. O'Neal Cruz, an absolutely elite play, and nobody else really looks good at all. So same day, same story for the Pittsburgh offense. And I'm not really on the Cardinals bats either. I am taking a decent look at Mlodzinski, unfortunately. I came into the show ready for Big T to make fun of me for Mlodzinski.
I don't even know who are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, It's the price, right?
Pirates
The price
pitch,
is
Big T.
5K.
I can't believe you don't know more about the Pirates. They wear yellow. They wear yellow. It's a team that wears yellow.
I think DC tries to challenge himself by playing the shittiest dudes ever. Mlodzinski? You're playing somebody named Mlodzinski?
Look at the point per dollar projections, Saber or ours in-house on runpuresports.com, your website, Big T, and they're going to have Mlodzinski like pretty high up there in point per dollar rankings and at zero ownership on a slate we don't love pitching. So it allows you to get the Mets bats or the D-backs bats.
Point per dollar is good because he's free.
Yeah. But you know who's not free is the Mets stack or the D-backs stack.
You're not playing Mlodzinski. Like, I refuse to believe you're playing him. You're playing him and Tobias. I'm back on JT's side of the other argument. You're playing Mlodzinski and Tobias Myers.
You got Mlodzinski and Myers combos, and I'll see you at the top.
You better get a lot of runs from your stacks.
That's the plan.
He's going to stack the popular offenses.
JT, do you got Mlodzinski or Tobias? Which one are you going with?
Fuck. I'm disgusted. Redmond, it's not a stray at you. I can't help myself. Remember, as a recovering Mets fan, I have to prevent myself from falling back into the trap of believing in the Mets. So I just shit on them every chance I get. And right now, it looks like when everybody was singing and dancing, I'm talking about Joe Cole, about how good this Mets team was when they were playing teams that couldn't win a baseball game. Now that they're playing teams that win baseball games, it seems to be going south. Again, I'm not taking strays at you. It's to prevent myself from getting back on the bottle. All right. Big T, your thoughts here on the Pirates and the Cards?
I got to recalibrate after some Mlodzinski.
Clearly, does not sound like you're playing Carmen Mlodzinski.
I'm never playing the one thing I do agree with DC, though. Every time when I see the Pirates on a slate, yeah, it's been a good show. This has been our best Monday show.
Show is perfectly on the rails, actually, Steve.
Yeah, this has been
perfectly on the rails.
If every show was this good, I would never come off the show. This show's been great. But I agree with DC that every time Pittsburgh's on the slate, first thing I do, X out everybody except O'Neal Cruz. Like, I'll get a ball out of there, and then I'll bump him up because the dude is just a beast. He's up to 5,900 now. That's how good he is. Yeah. But so that's what I'm doing with Pittsburgh. And then St. Louis, I might have to stack them up against Big Mlod now after all the chatter. But one of my main rules, I just don't play stacks in this park. Has this park ever been the winner? JT made fun of me the one week when I started saying this thing. He's like, Big T never likes these parks, and there's never – I feel like St. Louis has never been the winner.
I will say the day after you crapped all over the
We're going to talk about this freaking San Francisco game again.
I hate the park. They're not scoring runs in this park, and the next day they scored like 30 runs combined.
Were they the winner?
Yes, that night they were. Stacks have won in this park. Here's the thing, though. Mlodzinski is only a 4 or 5 inning guy, maybe 6 if he's going really, really well. Not a great bullpen behind it. Teams have been scoring runs on this bullpen, so it's not my favorite, but I'll include the Cards in my stacks.
You got to now. We got to get DC with the Cards. I'm inspired to play against the big Mlod.
Jesus. All right. We'll move on. We gotta get through this slate here. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop them. Lion Cub, I'm sure we confused the shit out of you. You have no idea what to do with that cue.
Who's he gonna play in the queue?
I don't know who I'm playing. I'm gonna get off here and be like, should I play Tobias Myers? The answer is clearly no. But all right, Griffin Canning. I'm having a nightmare right now because now I'm thinking like, man, if the Optos give me some M and I don't X them out and I have accidentally happen to win something with them.
That's right, Jed. This is how you play like a champion. 8 one-offs and Myers and Mlodzinski. Let's get it in there, Jed.
Christopher Donaldson. I don't have statistics for the boom sheet. It's just like any other statistical model and tool that you use. It was on Seattle, I think, Saturday, which is the night they went nuts. It's pretty good though. It's pretty good.
I think it's been awesome.
I'm just saying it's not like I'll just play those teams and you win $1 million every day. Right?
It's the best for one-offs anyway.
It's fantastic.
For your example with the other thing, you build your whole team, you get to one spot and you need a second baseman. Go to the boom sheet. That's what you use it for. Like you don't just go and just click all one-offs or something like that. It's more for fillers, at least for me.
All right. Mets, Arizona, Big T, Griffin Canning, 7,200, Ryan Nelson, 6,700. Big total here. I have a feeling you're going to like both offenses. Griffin Canning has been pitching well, been a little bit lucky, and the walk rate's high. Arizona also not a team that strikes out a lot. Ryan Nelson is another one of these guys where he's used in different ways. He's come out of the bullpen. He's getting a spot start, what looks like here tonight. Maybe he'll be back in the rotation because they had an injury. Is it Brandon Pfaadt? Or they had an injury to someone, I thought, that was in the rotation, Big T. But thoughts on this game, the Mets and the Arizona Diamondbacks. This is going to be one of the most popular spots of the night.
Yeah, definitely probably the most popular. You got the highest total. Griffin Canning's a guy that I've hated for years. I always play against him. He's beat me a bunch this year, though. I've stacked against him, and he's owned me, especially with, like, lefties and stuff. He's whooped my ass. I've stacked against him every time. I'm probably going to stack against him again tonight, not going to lie. But, man, he's owned me. He might be a little better. I'm interested to hear what JT thinks about him because he looks better to me. I obviously haven't dug into any of the numbers, but when you're going to have the most popular stacks of the night, Mets and Arizona, I want to be a little under on these spots, actually, where, again, I do like them. In the $5, I'm going to have plenty of these guys, but this is going to be the chalk without a doubt. So I want to be under. Some of the guys I'm going to like for sure, though. Pavin Smith in that 3-hole, going to like him. Corbin Carroll, obviously, I'm going to like him. Eugenio Suarez was the guy I usually only like against lefties. He's just been good this year. He's had a bunch of big games. Going to like him. And then on the Mets side, I'm just low on the Mets, where you said Ryan's not going to go that long. I don't know. I just don't love this Mets lineup. So two examples. I'm going to stack them up in my $5 multi-entry, but I can almost guarantee you I won't have my main team as far as these stacks. So I don't know. No pitching. No, I'm obviously not using the pitching in this game. I don't need double leverage. Like if you play the pitchers, you're leveraging the field against the popular stacks too. I don't need to do that, but I don't know. Maybe you guys got stronger takes than me.
All right. Uncle T says they're skipping the burn start. That's what I was thinking of. DC, thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I'm in on the offenses here. No surprise, maybe. I mean, these are the kind of the two big spends of the night. I like them to the point that, willing to play Big Mlodzinski to get these guys in there. Part of it is the bullpens for these teams are the Diamondbacks have the worst bullpen in baseball over the last 2 weeks, which has coincided to them losing their two best relievers, Justin Martinez, AJ Puck, both out. And they've just been getting killed. They're also super worn out in the bullpen. Have used their pen a ton lately. They've got nobody in there, really, that can get outs. And then they're using JT, like you mentioned. I mean, they're using like kind of their long man type of arm to start the game. So I'm not sure how long Ryan Nelson is going to go, but if he's only able to, if they knock him around early, if the Mets do, and they get into this bullpen early, it's like a game that's like going to be tough to finish for the D-backs in terms of they're going to run out of pitchers if Nelson's not able to go deep. So I think this Mets team, obviously the top of the lineup is what you want. Lindor, Soto, Alonso, Nimmo are the big four for me with the Mets. They look spectacular, I think, in this matchup. So in on the Mets, but not as heavy as I am on the Diamondbacks. Best hitting environment of the night here, despite the roof closed. And D-backs, I mean, this offense is just absolutely crushes. You mentioned Suarez, Big T. I looked up Suarez this year. He's done almost all his damage at home in Arizona, and he did the same thing last year. They got that super clean batter's eye in Arizona. If you watch, I think there might be something to it for Suarez. So if you just kind of envision his home runs, they're all coming at home. I do like him, but it's the lefties for Arizona that I like best, both Pavin Smith and Alec Thomas are normally pinch hit risks. Just one lefty in the pen for the Mets, who pitched yesterday through 25 pitches, and he's pretty awful anyway. So I do think the lefties for Arizona are both better plays and safer in this game than they typically are. So I think that's, one thing that still goes overlooked in MLB DFS is the bullpen usage and talent out of the bullpen. Rough spot for both these teams. I could see this game getting going early, and I'm expecting a lot of runs in this one. So I'll be in on both of these stacks. 4 or 5-man stacks I think work for both, and obviously the game stack works as well. But like I said, expecting a lot of runs in this game.
DC, last game on the slate is Seattle at Sacramento playing the Athletics. Bryce Miller, 8,100. Luis Severino, 7,900 now. Seattle slowed down a bit by Jacob deGrom yesterday, but this team has been hitting well, and now they get a matchup in this park against Severino and the Athletics bullpen. What are your thoughts on the Mariners and the A's?
Yeah, I've seen the Mariners as one of the 2 chalkiest teams on right up there. I think maybe top 3 owned team with the Mariners. I get it; they've been hitting well. I don't love this spot for them, even against Severino. Part of it is these minor league parks. We've got a couple of them now. We see one in Tampa, and now we've got the A's are playing there too. It seems like we obviously see it with Wrigley, where you don't have like the huge towering bleachers in the outfield, and the wind has much more effect. The A's playing one of these parks too, and we've got strong winds coming in from center field. So I think Severino, whose big problem is giving up power, I think he's safer here than he typically is. And listen, there's still strikeouts to be had against this Mariners lineup. So I actually don't hate Severino at 7,900. You're going to get close to 100 pitches from him every time out, and you get leverage against a chalky stack in the Mariners. So I like Severino a little bit. Miller, I think, is fine. But yeah, I do like Severino better, and not going crazy with the bats here. Again, I get why people are playing the Mariners. I think Polanco and Camporeale in particular look good to me, but I'll be under the field for offenses on both these teams.
Randy Arozarena left yesterday's game as well with an apparent injury. We'll see if he makes it back to the lineup today. Big T, thoughts on the last game of the slate, Seattle and the A's?
Yeah, you got low-key good ballpark, which we've liked this year. And Seattle just has printed money for me, like easily my top stack of the year. They just crush all the time at the top. The best catcher so far, Camporeale. Jorge Polanco has been amazing. Some of these other guys like Julio's had good games. Like you said, A-Roz might not be in tonight, but he's been good. Seattle's just been awesome for me, and I don't love a lot of offenses on this slate, so I got to go. And like I said, I'm under on the Arizona game, so I'm going to be higher on this game, both sides. I do think the one concerning part is definitely that the pitching in this game is better than the Arizona game, a decent amount better. But I just like this spot, and I think it'll be lower owned, especially the A's side. I don't think the A's side is going to get a ton of ownership. And I like this lineup a decent amount against Bryce Miller. Bryce Miller's been good. I've played Bryce Miller. But I like getting Seattle when you got a good park upgrade. I think this is a pretty huge park upgrade. And like I said, I just don't like it. I was writing down my stacks for my platoon sheet as we've been going. I just don't like a ton of teams on offense. So I'm going to be super heavy on this game. And I want to see the lineup just to make sure they don't put something real weird out. But you do got a few really cheap guys too, which makes it nice. Rowdy in the middle at 2,400. The Ryland guy that was pretty good for me a few of the nights at 2,500, and then the big boppers. So I like Seattle, and the A's might be my favorite lower owned stack of the night.
All right, Big T, give us the stack that's most important to your success tonight.
It might be the A's, honestly, because a lot of the other teams, the A's or the Reds would be the two that are somewhat lower owned for me, whereas the other teams I'll play are all super chalky. So give me the A's as my most important in the $5. In like the higher one, I'll just be on Seattle. So it's that game for me.
DC, your most important stack tonight?
Diamondbacks.
But personally, I still can't get over the ownership on Matthew Boyd. He's as boom bust as any pitcher. There's a lot of power in the Giants lineup. I get the weather, all of that. I'm going to play the Giants at 3% owned against a very highly owned Matthew Boyd, who, by the way, was basically out of baseball. I mean, this is his sixth team in the last 5 seasons, something like that. So yeah, I'll if that doesn't work out, fine. But I think that's a fantastic leverage spot on this slate, regardless of the results. And that's it. That's all for Swing for the Fences on Monday. You guys have any final thoughts you want to?
I wanted the pitchers of the day. We had to polish it up with DC's pitchers of the day. We had to get his rankings.
You want the pitchers? All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Today,
let's save DC. Big T, who's your most important pitcher on the slate?
It's funny because I think pitching's a struggle, and like I said, I'm going to be a little different. So I'm going to be boring at pitcher. And I actually I'll probably just end up playing a lot of Reagans and Boyd and some of these chalky guys that you made fun of, but I'm going to get different in a lot of my hitting spots. So I just don't, I'm looking down the list and I just don't, actually I like Brady Singer too, a decent amount in that spot. But
what makes you like Matthew Boyd, or just what has he done in his life and his career?
15, I want fantasy 15 tonight from my pitcher.
All right.
Sometimes you got to wear a condom. I don't wear them, but sometimes you have to.
Well, we know this all too well. DC, who are your most important pitchers on this slate?
It's impressive that Big T's condom wearing habits manages to get mentioned once a week here on the Monday show. It's beautiful. We'll keep it up. Stay tuned next week. I'm trying to pick 2 pitchers that you guys aren't going to make fun of. So JT stacking against Boyd, who I like. Big T stacking against Smith-Shawver, who I like. And you both mocked me for my cheap guys, Myers and Wladzinski. So
I didn't really mock you for Wladzinski.
That's my whole pool of pitchers is guys who are just getting straight up mocked on.
If you take the 21% walk away from Myers, I guess he's not that bad.
So there you go. Pick 2 of those 4 scrubs and pray for rain.
Who's JT's pitchers?
I'm about to tell you. As I think about this more and more, I do like Ronel Blanco here against the Brewers at that price, and I like Brady Singer. 3-game series against the Dodgers. Finally win one on Sunday Night Baseball last night. And I think that Singer is a guy who could get you 15 to 17 points. But I think that's enough tonight. I think we're all aligned in that we're concerned enough about Cole Ragans to at least come in under the field, play a little bit differently on most of our lineups. But we will see how that game goes. There'll be cores up. Playbook just has a couple of little pieces left to go ahead and put in there. And then, of course, everyone will be in Discord talking about the plays. I already have seen Boynton in there saying that he expects 90 to 100 pitches from Tobias Myers tonight. So, hey.
Did he actually say it in there?
Hey, good luck. Good luck.
Did he really? Or are you messing with me?
Listen, I just went in there and I had to lie. I just had to shut it because I said, okay, all right, doesn't matter. For DC, for the Big Banana, we will be back next week. DC and I will be back on Thursday. Who do we do the show with on Thursday? Do we have? Is it it's Travis, right? Travis may not be in on Thursday. So until then,
if you guys are on, I gotta come on.
Until then,
then you shouldn't be afraid to ride the sand.